After fulfilling Azura's prophecy, the Nerevarine left Morrowind in search of high adventure. Even during the events of Skyrim, 200 years later, the Nerevarine, being immune to disease and aging, was out there somewhere. But maybe, the Nerevarine made a stop in the lands between. Yup, that's the conceit. Who is the Nerevarine? What playstyle would the so-called reincarnation of Lord Indril Nerevar bring into Elden Ring? Well, the tribunal cut off Nerevar's feet so he could walk any path, removed his face so he could become any race, and stabbed him through the heart with a spear so that he may be reborn as either a man or a woman. That last bit doesn't really track, especially considering it was Vivek who did the stabbing. If there's anyone who understands the mutability of these sorts of things, it's the male-presenting god that gave birth to hordes of demon children after laying with Molag Bal for 88 days as a headless corpse. We'll model our Nerevarine after Nerevar himself. Nerevar was a Chimer, so he'd look a bit like a high elf, but I suck at these character customization slider things in pretty much every game. This attempt, he looks like yellow chicken curry. So I just went with the female dark elf sliders that I found on Reddit. The Nerevarine wouldn't be a Chimer anyway, since the Chimer became Dunmer after Nerevar was killed. Some might say the Nerevarine would be an Argonian, and I get that, but Elden Ring doesn't have that much variety in customization, not without mods at least. I did try making a male Dark Elf mimicking Morrowind's mascot, but the results, yeah. So female Dark Elf sliders it is. I just changed the hairstyle, I like this one better. To lean into the nonsensical pretense for this run just a little bit more, pretend the Nerevarine was stripped of her powers, her abilities, and her gear, as a test from Boethia, or whatever, I don't know. I went with the Wretch class since it's basically a blank slate. The question I had to ask was, what weapon would a Nerevar-based Nerevarine use? The Chimer were known to use spears in battle, so that's an option. Nerevar was said to have used an axe at some point, we could do that. But during Morrowind's Tribunal expansion, the Nerevarine reforges Nerevar's enchanted sword, True Flame. This is what True Flame looks like, and this is the Shamshir. That puts an end to the debate, don't you think? Not one-to-one, but it's pretty damn close. Got the same vibe at least. Is that you, Azura? Before killing anything, we're gonna beeline straight to the dungeon containing the Shamshir, at the bottom of the High Road Cave in Limgrave. The cave itself is as dark as night, so it made the Nerevarine feel quite at home. Morrowind's lighting is quirky, to put it lightly. Now let me get ahead of things right away and tell you this. I'm not, how would you say it, good at this game. Morrowind is a pretty easy game, all things considered. Skill in Morrowind comes in the form of knowledge of the game world and the game's mechanics. With Elden Ring, even encyclopedic knowledge of the game can only get you so far. If you're expecting to see some impressive boss rush, then you must be new here. In fact, Nerevar was a clever tactician, a mighty warrior, and a charismatic and thought-provoking poet. He was smart and powerful, but also a faithful devotee to Azura, Boethia, and Mephala, the three good Daedra. Though not a Dunmer himself, it was his death that led to the Chimer being cursed by Azura, it was Chimer culture that became Dunmer culture. The Dunmer understand from the teachings of Boethia that a harsh world requires you to be harsh back. Losing a battle for the sake of maintaining honor is a fool's way to die. Win by any means necessary. The point I'm trying to make is, if I can't kill a boss with just True Flame, I might need to find alternative methods. Specifically for the Godskin Duo, it's a shame the Dunmer don't worship Vermina. Otherwise, the strategy I'll be using for that would be perfectly thematic. If you know Elder Scrolls, and you know Elden Ring, you know what I'm going to do for them. Now that I've got the weapon I came for, why not give the dungeon boss a shot? Yeah, True Flame isn't enchanted with True Flames yet, but why should that stop us? And I don't have high enough dexterity to wield Shamshir correctly, but why should that stop us? Oh, that's what stops us. Well, it can't be that bad, though. The Guardian Golem, most golems in Elden Ring actually, have very weak ankles. A few jump attacks can knock them down, leaving them wide open for a critical strike on their glowing weak spot. See? Now that's more like it. Man. Well, it was worth a shot. I'm not going to try again. Next up, the Green Turtle Talisman in Summonwater Village. I picked a Stone Sword key as my starting gift specifically so I could grab this talisman. It boosts your stamina regeneration rate, and if there's one thing the Nerevarine learned in Morrowind, it's that stamina is the most important resource. Although they call stamina fatigue over there, it's weird. Not far from Summonwater Village is the Third Church of Marika, where we'll loot the Flask of Wondrous Physic. It's a custom potion you can tailor to your specific needs, giving you temporary buffs when consumed, but you can only drink it once before having to rest at a site of grace again. It's like drinking Sujamma before fighting a boss, but you can't drink like 50 of them and then just face roll everything. The other churches contain sacred tears that make our flasks of Crimson and Cerulean tears a bit stronger, restoring more HP and FP. In my experience though, I typically die not because I run out of healing supplies, but because I get too greedy and I overextend into the sharp end of an enemy. Whatever that sharp end happens to be. Sword, claws, club. With enough power behind it, anything is a stabbing weapon. Another easy talisman we can get is the Axe Talisman. It boosts the power of charged attacks. I don't expect charged attacks from the Shamshir to be all that powerful or reliable, but there aren't many other talisman choices this early in the game, so we'll grab it anyway. Before heading into Caelid to get the flame for our would-be True Flame, let's pop over to Fort Faroth and die a few times, for fun, and we'll grab the left half of the Dectus Medallion. We'll need it later. You might be wondering at this point, is the whole run gonna be just the Shamshir? No, of course not. Nerevar wasn't a mage, but he did know his way around a bit of magic. A spell sword, if anything. A devout spell sword. A strength faith build feels like a fine path to take. Now that Melina's taken us to the Round Table Hold, we can run over to the Twin Maiden Husks and buy a finger seal. It's an unremarkable seal, but it lets us cast incantations. And like in Morrowind, Elden Ring has fire, frost, and shock magic. Although this guy here looks like he was in a high-speed wagon accident, he actually sells incantations. Catch Flame is a weak incantation, but it's quick and kinda acts like Morrowind's Firebite. Now what we need to do is get the Red Hot Wet Blade from Castle Redmane in southeastern Caelid. And we need to do it before the event that triggers the Radahn Festival triggers. It'll allow us to place a fire enchantment on True Flame, not only adding a bit of elemental damage to my attacks, but also giving the Sword of Faith scaling. It's mostly for thematic purposes, but damage is damage. You know what my problem is? My fashion souls is lacking. You didn't think I was gonna go through this entire run naked, did you? Please, I need armor. Morrowind's Dark Elf mascot wears Bone Mold armor, a medium armor type, and Bone Mold feels, I don't know, it feels right. It feels like something every Dunmer would wear. And it feels like something the Chimer would have worn. I have really no logical explanation for why I think the Nerevarine should wear Bone Mold. It's my video and he's gonna wear Bone Mold. But we can't get Bone Mold in Elden Ring. Elden Ring doesn't really have armor types in the same way as Morrowind, but it does have light, medium, and heavy equipment loads. I figured having a medium equipment load is a good compromise, so I bought champion pauldrons from the merchant in southern Caelid. I don't think they're any good, but they look cool. More armor will come later. And frankly, this isn't really that much of a challenge. This isn't really part of the challenge. It's mostly just the roleplay aspect of it. I usually play Elden Ring and all these games with a medium equipment load anyway, since it's a good middle ground between defenses and mobility. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I died here a ton. It's one thing to throw yourself at a single boss dozens of times, learning its attack patterns, figuring out where its openings are, the whole point of these games. And it's something else entirely to try evading dozens of enemies while trying to get a single item. The trebuchets might as well be a boss in their own right. Call them Horatius Cockleys because they got this bridge locked down. That's a joke for the history nerds, I guess. It also didn't help that I almost never come here on a normal playthrough except to kill Radahn, and the place is totally free of enemies during the festival, except Radahn. But he's not in the castle. He's like hanging out in the backyard, eating people. It's not the Wet Blade, but this Ash of War will pair well with True Flame. It basically shoots fire out of your sword in a fan pattern. Perfect, right? Took long enough, but I finally managed to touch the grace within the fort. Now I won't have to cross the bridge every time I die. Abduct a virgin, good day, don't mind me. This took me half an hour to get. So here's an interesting thing I learned from this run. You can't change the Ash of War in your weapon unless you get the starter Wet Blade first, the one in Limgrave. I typically always get it first just because it's there. This time I didn't, and I should have. Has anyone ever questioned what these whetstone blades even are? I know what a whetstone is. You use them to sharpen or modify blades, right? Pretty standard thing you might have in your kitchen. But why are they whetstone knives? I've never heard of that before Elden Ring. And as an expert in sword care because I've seen a picture of a sword once, I think I'm more than qualified by internet law to use my initial impression to cast aspersions upon the game. Let's add the Pyroil Tar to Shamshir and create the true flame. Also, I can't look at the icon for the Flaming Strike Ash of War without thinking of that American Chopper chair throwing meme. You see it? There's also the Flame of the Redmane's Ash of War. We'll get that later, but I'm sick of Caelid. I'm sick of Caelid. We're more than ready to start fighting enemies as the Nerevarine. We got True Flame, we got some destruction magic to throw out of our offhand, and we're a decent-ish level. At least decent enough to fight Margit. But I want to grab a few more items around Limgrave. Seeds, sacred tears, and smithing stones. A lot of challenge runners include a region lock rule. You can't leave Limgrave until you defeat Godrick, you can't leave Liurnia until you defeat Ranni. It's to prevent you from getting super overpowered before fighting any bosses, because you could run around the whole entire world and collect a ton of smithing stones. It keeps the runs interesting. I couldn't apply this rule set if I wanted to get the fire enchantment for True Flame, so that's a wash. But it's still a reasonable approach. That's why I'm restricting my current scavenger hunt just to Limgrave. You can gather up a fair amount of flasks and smithing stones just within Limgrave anyway. There are several merchants across the area that sell smithing stones, in fact. Before upgrading True Flame, I'm also going to buy a Fireball spell from Wagon Neck. It's slower than Catch Flame, but it's a ranged incantation, and you can kind of charge it up to make it a little stronger. It's an on-target spell rather than an on-touch spell. Unfortunately, after all the gathering, I only managed to collect enough stones to get True Flame to +2. I need 3 more smithing stone 1s. I guess most of what I collected were 2s and 3s. Oh well, every point of damage helps. Time we fought Margit.
Foul tarnished.
It's been a minute since I've played Elden Ring. DLC is coming out soon, so I needed the practice anyway. I'm sure I'm not the first person to make this observation that Margit's attacks are stalled like he's trying to troll you, but this doesn't seem to be a trait unique to Margit himself. All the omens love doing this shit, especially Morgott. That guy's like a carbon copy of Margit. It's crazy. What I learned from this fight, with how fast True Flame is, it's better to be super aggressive. It's not a heavy weapon, but if you attack the bosses fast enough, you'll eventually break their poise and open them up for a beefy riposte. Of course, I only realized this now. During the run, I didn't realize this until around Malekith, so yeah. First rule of Stormvale Castle, kill this prick. But still die in the room he normally locks you in because you suck at this game. This video is the best walkthrough. 4 smithing stone 1s. Great. Also, we can get more smithing stones if we lead this giant to this statue and let him smash it. Even if we die, the statue will remain smashed. But do you really think I'd... Lots of smithing stones, nice. Before we fight Godrick, we'll upgrade True Flame to +5, and we'll also get the Finger Seal to +2. It'll make our incantations just a touch stronger. I'm switching from Flame Strike to Wild Strikes for this fight. I think the rapid hits will serve better against Godrick since he usually has really long openings. The sword's still flame enchanted though. Well, I gotta hand it to you. You do look intimidating. What a fool you are, to use fire magic against the Dunmer. Yeah, alright. First try, genuinely. Not a joke. Definitely the easiest of all the shard bearers. Makes sense since he's the first one you'd fight, typically. And here we are in Liurnia, where the first camp of enemies I kill gives me some more armor. Now we've got gloves, leggings, and a chest sash. It's not really a chest plate. As long as it looks good, that's all that matters. We've got a few items to run around and collect in Liurnia before we get into the meat of this place. The Fire Monk's Prayer Book will unlock a few new fire spells for us to buy should we want to expand our arsenal. The lobsters will snipe us before we get to the next site of grace. Oh, those rascals. There's a purple guy on a boat we can bully for a small cache of runes, and there's this shiny... Man, what a bully. He drops the Dragon Cult Prayer Book. Good for some quote-unquote shock spells. Lightning incantations. And there's another camp of fire monks guarding the Flame Cleanse Me incantation. It makes flame cleanse you. Just north of all that is the Turtle Pope. We can give him our prayer books and he'll sell us new incantations. They're a bit expensive right now, but we can always come back later. Carrying on with our main goal of becoming Elden Lord, we disturb Smaragd's slumber and steal the academy key he's guarding. Smaragd himself is a pretty easy field boss, but he's not really mandatory. And he kills me in one hit, so I should probably invest more points into Vigor. You might be enticed to go through this portal barrier the magical way, but if you walk through it, you can find some loot. And... oh, I could have sworn the bridge was longer. Well, if we go through the portal barrier the correct way, we'll land in the northeastern side of Liurnia, where we can find a dungeon containing a bunch of smithing stones. And the final boss, a Crystallian with a set of Tox Zil Ul, drops the first of many smithing bell bearings. No more running around and hunting down smithing stones 1 and 2. We can just buy them. With the extra runes left over, we'll buy the Lightning Spear incantation. I can't be sure how useful it'll be, but at least we'll have it. A Frost incantation would be awesome, but Frost magic is sorcery in Elden Ring, intelligence-based, and we ain't that smart, so no Frost for sweet Nerevar. Before we can go any further into the Academy, we gotta deal with this Sif knockoff. On the surface, it's a pretty easy boss. The attacks are heavily telegraphed, it doesn't have a lot of resistances, and its health pool is rather low. The beauty of Elden Ring, from a game design perspective, is that if you run into a wall, you have the rest of this vast world to explore before returning at a slightly higher level. And even if you don't level up that much, walking away from a troubling boss without rage quitting immediately acts as a wonderful reset. You want to play Elden Ring, but you really don't want to fight this boss right now, and it gives you that freedom. It's like real life. Taking a break doesn't mean you're lazy, you just need some time to let what you learned solidify. Go ahead, listen to some music. Pet a cat. Stare at a wall for 10 minutes. You might be surprised how a little bit of distance can help. Shit. Enemies that can parry are Did he just jump over my fire? That was awesome. Renala time. Ew, gross. Kids. So this is kind of a gimmicky boss. Attack 3 of her glowing children, her sweetings, and she falls. Then you beat on her until she regenerates her shield. I, unfortunately, can't do enough damage to 2-cycle her, and if you die, you have to repeat phase 1 all over again.
Mother's rich slumber shall not be disturbed by thee.
Oh god, censor that, censor it! She has pretty low poise in the second phase, but she's pretty good at hopping out of range when you try to stun lock her. Time for the first phase again. 3-cycle. I wonder what I can do to eke out just a tiny bit more damage across the first 2 cycles. Wow. I think one more upgrade to True Flame should help. I just need some more Smithing Stone 3s. We'll kill the Dragon Agil in Limgrave for a few thousand souls. It's a low-level boss, so it's no match for the Nerevarine. And we'll pick up these 3 stones from this gazebo in Liurnia. That'll get True Flame to +9. But we can also gather some Smithing Stones 4 in the ruin-strewn precipice in northern Liurnia that are just lying around the place. And there are also some we can get as uncommon drops from the miners here. Gathering 12 of them shouldn't take too long. And that's +13. I had 2 Smithing Stone 5s, apparently. This should make Renala a 2-cycle. Oh yeah, here we go. And with time to spare. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Well, first try after a 2-cycle. Not bad. Seems like the right time to go to the Altus Plateau. Just need to get the right half of the deck test medallion. It's in Caelid's Fort Fargoth, Faroth, right near the big dragon Grail. You can pretty easily kill this dragon for a huge boon of souls, but it takes ages if you don't have a weapon with bleed buildup, so Grail gets to live. And that's the medallion. We'll grab Radagon's Source Seal while we're here as well. It boosts your strength, dexterity, vigor, and endurance by 5 points each at the cost of taking 15% more damage. It's good to have, a lot of people use it, but I don't know if I'll use it. 15% more damage taken might not be a problem for people who don't get hit a lot, like Lil Aggie or Gino Machino, but for me, well, it's not trivial. Alright, I got the medallion. What do I do with it? Is there someone I have to get? Do I put it in a slot? Oh, I seem to have done something. Yeah, that totally makes sense. With the Altus Plateau unlocked, we can get another smithing bell bearing, the second one specifically, from the sealed tunnel dungeon. The dungeon is tucked away pretty well, but I know exactly where it is. It's like I've played this game before. The bell bearing is in a chest this time, not a boss reward. Still want to finish up this dungeon though. There are more goodies further down, and the boss is pretty easy. We've got 3 smithing stone 6s stuck in this statue. We just need the abductor virgin to break it for us, and hopefully we don't get killed in the process. Well, at least the statue stays broken. I know hitboxes can feel like bullshit sometimes, but man, does Elden Ring surprise you with how tight they can be. Look at that swing from the Onyx Lord. Swinging True Flame caused the Nerevarine hitbox to move ever so slightly that the sword missed and I took no damage. It's awesome. I love it. Let's upgrade True Flame to plus 14 and our Finger Seal to plus 12. But we only need 6 Smithing Stone 5s to upgrade True Flame once more. Off to the Celia Crystal Tunnel. It's the tunnel you probably got teleported to the first time you played Elden Ring. You know that trap chest in Limgrave that sends you here? Yeah, that's quite the surprise. The miners here are easy to kill, but the pests are pests, and I tried killing the boss, but, well, it's not mandatory, so why waste the time? Yeah, that's why. With True Flame now at plus 16, I think we can try pushing further toward becoming Elden Lord. Our next target is the Draconic Tree Sentinel, stationed outside the entrance to Leyndell. As you can see, there is a bit of a jump in difficulty here. My damage output compared to the health pool of the boss is a bit imbalanced. Not impossible, of course, but the longer the fight takes, the more chances I have to make mistakes, and the more mistakes I make, the more likely I am to die. After a dozen tries or so, I decided it might be best to go wandering. I picked up the Ritual Sword Talisman from Demi-Human Queen Gillica, 20% more damage when at full health. How reliably can I be at full health? Who knows? But hey, it's better than nothing. It was getting this talisman that reminded me to get the 3rd talisman slot from the Two Fingers Priestess Lady thing. After you kill 2 Shardbearers, you get a free talisman slot. But that alone wouldn't be enough, obviously. Rather than hunting down micro-optimizations, I just changed goals. Yes, we're still going to become Elden Lord, but there are some parallel paths we can take along the way. How's about an easier boss? I hear the Radagon Festival starting. Ah! Shit! Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright boys, kick his ass. Ah, riposte. Okay, where's the meteor? Where is he? Where is he? Come on, fellas, we almost got this. We almost got this. Yeah! I didn't get the last hit, but who gives a damn? Radagon's dead and I'm not. Huh, who'd have guessed Radagon and Vivec had narrative overlap? Convenient that the meteor hit precisely where an ancient buried city resides. It's almost like the meteors were launched toward the city. I threaded that needle. Nothing personnel, kid. Light the braziers, fight the moose. Definitely one of my favorite bosses, even if it can be a bit annoying with the healing sometimes. The music track alone makes this an A-tier boss. Minimum. And the run back isn't a nightmare. The run back can make or break a boss for me. An otherwise immaculate boss fight with amazing music can go from S to F if getting back to the boss is a pain in the ass. And I don't mean that it's hard to get back. What I mean is if there's an unnecessary amount of distance between the respawn point and the boss with nothing interesting happening in between. Especially if you have to run for 15 seconds up a flight of stairs to a fog gate that's not really a fog gate, that when you activate it, it just creates like a 5-second cutscene where the screen turns bright white. This is a fun fight. Let's get Flames of the Redmanes from the Invisible Scarab and Caelid. And I need to point this out before we go any further. I realized I was underutilizing Flame Strike only after rewatching the Mimic Tear footage when it managed to kill me the first time. Did I notice that it was throwing out a wreath of fire, then slashing through the flames with a burning sword? Yeah, if you follow up the flame activation with another activation of the Ash of War, you do a flaming strike, hence the name. Oops. Further into Nokron we go. This mace guy already killed me once, so we'll just sprint by him. You motherfucker. Oh, look at that mysterious chest. It sure looks important. Whatever could be inside. Oh, I need to start that quest first. I guess that makes sense. Out of Nokron and straight to Carrion Manor. True flames truly shine here. Like how flames do. See, when you light these monstrosities on fire, they writhe in pain, as is typical for living things to do when they're on fire. It gives you plenty of time to finish them off before they start flicking you like a stubborn booger. Royal Knight Loretta. A simple boss, really. It did take me a couple of tries only because of my greed. The key with Loretta is to wait for openings, and only attack when you have enough time to avoid her next incoming attack. Quite the novel fight, ain't it? Taste the flames of Redmond. By Azura! It's you! Azura! You look a touch different, but I'd recognize that blue hue anywhere. There's an air about this place. Celestial. Moons and stars. Man, there really is a lot of coincidental thematic overlap with Morrowind. Did George R.R. Martin plagiarize? So we need to get the treasure hidden in Nokron for Azura. A milder task this time around. Last time she wanted me to kill a god and bring an end to a divine pantheon currently ruling the land. Wait. Probably best not to think about it too much. Since we defeated Radagon, we can buy his armor from the dehydrated wizard priestess. I like my current tunic, but his gloves and boots are pretty cool. We'll grab those. I've also noticed I've been doing more jumping attacks than I originally thought I'd be doing, so let's grab the jump attack talisman from Stormveil. I figured since True Flame wasn't a giant weapon, jump attacks wouldn't be nearly as useful, but I sure am using them a lot regardless. More than charged attacks, at least. Ah, fate has changed its mind, I see. And as a reward for bringing the Fingerslayer blade back to Azura, she gives us the Carrion inverted statue, which we can use to invert the Carrion study hall. Only in a fantasy world would the Earth be a sphere, am I right? Hello? Well, I guess there's only so much blathering nonsense my audience will put up with. I can't believe people actually think the Earth is flat. Whoops. Looks like buoyancy done got me again, not gravity, because gravity isn't real. It's all the result of buoyancy, even though buoyancy is literally the direct result of gravity acting on a fluid. Water finds its level. Water doesn't curve, but tides being different across the world would require water to curve on a flat Earth, and somehow it does that without gravity, so it makes even less sense, and don't get me started on eclipses. At least the Ptolemaic geocentric model produced usable results. It doesn't matter if an idea is true or not if the model is shit. Those fake alien mummies in Mexico are more believable than this garbage. Anyway, there's the foreskin noble on this bridge. I suck at fighting these guys, so I'm just gonna run past them before I work myself up even further. I'm sorry. I started my college career pursuing a physics degree with the expectation to go to graduate school for astrophysics. This shit boils my blood like you wouldn't believe. Curse Mark of Death and the Stargazer Heirloom. A talisman. It increases our intelligence by 5 points. Useless for a strength faith build. Useful for a strength int build. But that's not gonna happen, right? Returning to Azura's tower, we'll notice she's no longer there. But there's now an active waygate atop Renna's Rise. If we take it, we end up in the Ansel River main. And not far from our point of arrival is a little doll. Miniature Azura. We can talk to it while sitting at a site of grace. Cat's out of the bag. We gotta kill a dog, man. We gotta kill a dog, man. I'm just now realizing how many elevators are in this game, but this one's magical. Ooh.
O Shadow, thou art the last. Tell the two fingers.
Wow, he is super weak to fire.
Beautifully.
And that's all she wrote. Discarded palace key. We'll put that to use after we run through the strawberry jam lake. The Nerevarine is allergic to the pectin they put in the jam, so she takes damage if she stands in it too long. A sarcophagus hanging precariously on the edge of a waterfall. Well, I'd be a fool not to hop in it for no reason. Gotta close the lid first. Wouldn't want to be reckless. There better not be a cosmic monstrosity down here with me. What did I just say? Are you kidding me? Let's upgrade True Flame a bit more. There's some smithing stones in the Grand Cloister. Ignore the rotten tree spirit, he's grumpy because I stole his rocks. The full-grown Falling Star Beast in Mount Gelmir drops 5 smithing stone 6s, but I suck. Ironically, there are some smithing stones in Leyndell behind the Draconic Tree Sentinel. I think it's been long enough though, don't you? Let's throw ourselves at the Sentinel a bit more. First try. See what a little distance can do for you? Now that we can finally get into Leyndell, it's time to collect some loot. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who thought they were being pranked when they saw these things. Like, I thought I was playing a modded game for a second. These things are ridiculous looking. I still don't know what they are. Goofy little trumpet snowmen, I don't know. So Leyndell, the royal capital, is full of a lot of royal soldiers for some bizarre reason, and some of them use lightning. They're pretty strong. I didn't die to them once. The boss of this area is the Golden Shade of Godfrey, first Elden Lord. I'm used to fighting him with slow, heavy weapons since I tend to lean toward the me-smash playstyle, so I expected him to be way harder than he actually was. Took about 5 attempts before I got used to his openings. True Flame speed makes me overconfident sometimes, so I get greedy and end up with an axe in my mouth. Beating him unlocks our 4th and final talisman pouch. In southern Liurnia, there is Stillwater Cave, a little place full of pools of poisonous putrescence because Miyazaki's got a thing for that sort of thing. Regardless, it's an easy dungeon to clear, especially since I'm more than twice the recommended level. The boss is a singular Cleanrot Knight that dies after just a few jump attacks, and it drops the Winged Sword Insignia, a talisman that increases the damage of consecutive attacks. Great for quick weapons that can get off several hits within a single opening of a boss. Perfect for True Flame. There's a good deal of loot in the subterranean shunning ground below Leyndell, smithing stones and the like, and nothing says unrelenting fun like getting lost in a maze of sewers. Want to see something cool? Brutal enemy, easily killed with a healing spell. So I spent like an hour trying to navigate this place just so I could find the final boss. I don't even need to kill the final boss to get what I want. We got Mogh down here, king of the sewer omens, it seems. We could try killing him, but he's not a priority right now. Instead, we can loot the chest behind him and be on our merry way. Another talisman, Erdtree's Favor, +1. It boosts your HP by 3.5%, stamina by 8.5%, and equip load by 6.5%. Nice little boost. Because my foray into the sewers didn't yield enough smithing stones, instead of throwing myself at Morgod for an hour, let's pop over to Mount Gelmir and collect the smithing stones laying about the place over there. And that gets True Flame to +20. Let's say we pay Estelle another visit. There's power in incremental upgrades. The Nerevarine understands this well. Oh, that's right, we need to loot the chest near Ranni. Well, there's a dragon guarding this church, so there must be something important here. Oh, an ominous hole. Well, I already rode a stone coffin down a waterfall of blood and scabs, so this is child's play. Azura, what's happened to you? Was it that thing? Oh, reverse narrative. This time I'm giving you a ring. Oh, you're fine.
So it was thee who would become my lord. Perhaps I needn't have warned thee. I go now to the night sky.
We're getting further into the endgame, and I think that warrants us optimizing our buffs a bit more. I've been sleeping on my Flask of Wondrous Physic by just running with the Opaline Bubble tier. It's useful, but there are so many other buffs available that could be improving my damage just enough that the fights may go a bit smoother. The Strength Knot Crystal tier boosts Strength by 10 points for 3 minutes. The Faith Knot Crystal tier boosts Faith by 10 points for 3 minutes. You'll never guess what the Dexterity and Intelligence Knot Crystal tiers do. We don't need them though. Killing this putrid Erdtree avatar gets us the Green Burst and Flame Shrouding cracked tiers, the latter of which boosts our fire damage by 20% for 3 minutes.
Godrick the Golden. The twin prodigies, Mikola and Malenia.
This dude's lost it. Those are chairs. Are you kidding me? I realized that the claw mark seal is better than the finger seal. Even though the finger seal has S scaling with faith, the claw mark seal has C scaling with faith and strength, resulting in a higher incantation scaling value. We can also grab the Two Fingers heirloom in Liurnia, a talisman that gives +5 to faith. I also bought the Carrion Filigreed crest from EG just outside Carrion Manor, but the footage of that must have vanished because I can't find it. It reduces the FP cost of weapon skills by 25%. See, the problem I have with Margit is timing his attacks. It feels like he varies the speed of his swings. I know he doesn't, but it feels like he does. And I end up getting in my own head. I start panic rolling all over the place, you know, the way a casual would play this game. It's a real bummer because when I see Elden Ring players who are actually good at this game fight this guy, it's like a work of art. Ducking under his attacks, jumping over his swings, it's such a sight to behold. Meanwhile, I can't so much as dodge his friggin' glowy spear thrust attack. No, we can try Blood Flame. Yeah, bleeding is the easy way to win. Anyway, to use Blood Flame, we need to remove the fire enchantment from True Flame, but Blood Flame puts fire back onto the sword, so it's still truly flaming. The temporary buff grants the sword fire damage and a slight bleed buildup effect. When an enemy builds up enough bleed, they take a big chunk of damage proportional to how much health they have. Pretty useful for fast attacking weapons. The drawback is that the Blood Flame buff only lasts about 30 seconds, so you need to reapply it throughout the fight. I've never in my life wanted more than at this very moment to huff car exhaust in an enclosed space. The Blood God ain't helping me. Sanguine? Would Sanguine be the Daedric Prince of Blood Flame? It'd probably be Mehrunes Dagon. Molag Bal? The House of Troubles. Somebody from the House of Troubles. No wonder it's not helping. Let's revert back to True Flame's True Flame. And so your light flickers, your light fades. Your throne shit, too. Onward to the Mountaintop of the Giants. Melina gave us another medallion. Oh, I know what to do here. Ooh, red this time. Ominous. Should've worn a sweater. First things first, we'll loot the third smithing stone bell bearing, giving us an unlimited supply of smithing stone 5s and 6s. When we get more runes, we can upgrade our Clarmark seal all the way to +18. True Flame, however, is nearly at +25. We need 10 smithing stone 8s to go from 22 to 24, then an ancient dragon smithing stone for the final upgrade. There's one of those ancient dragon smithing stones in the Mountaintop of the Giants, so that's easy to get. The rest of the smithing stones will be a bit trickier. I already have 2, and we can get another 3 from a chest on the Moonlight Plateau, where we married Azura. There's another on top of this mushroom hill. Caelid is actually kind of similar to Vardenfell with all the mushrooms. And there's another 3 in the Mogwin Dynasty area, so we gotta do Vari's quest. Talk to Vari, kill Magnus, the Beast Claw, and Altus Plateau. Get some Finger Maiden blood, die to Vike. That's not required, but I just felt like doing it anyway. Let Vari cut off one of your fingers. Activate the Pure Blood Knights of Metal, grab the 3 smithing stones in the cave while running from the stabby cult guys, and finally return to the Mountaintops of the Giants to get the last smithing stone we need to restore True Flame to its full potential. Alright, Fire Giant time. Very difficult boss for a lot of people due to how big he is and how much health he has and how difficult he is. But if you're careful to attack him in his weak spots, he takes significantly more damage, kind of balancing out the high health pool. Phase 1, attack his left foot. Phase 2, attack his hands. But because he's a Fire Giant, his elemental resistances are obvious. That's right, he's super strong against frost, terribly weak to fire. No, but seriously, the flames of the Red Manes will do little for us here. Adopting the Blood Flame strat would actually make this fight much smoother. Not only would it shift more of True Flame's damage away from fire, but it'd also add the bleed effect, and bleed works wonders on enemies with a lot of health, so let's use bleed. I can't be the only one who didn't notice the face on his chest until the eye opened, right? Now that I know the nose is there, he's such a goofy looking boss. I love it. Wow, that's some strong fire. So close to a first try, too. Ow. Ow. Two tries is all it takes. That second attempt, that didn't count. That was practice. Who else jumped into the kiln when they first came here? No one? Yeah, me neither. That'd be stupid. Oh, I'm so sleepy. I hope you don't burn yourself alive while I'm napping. Well, how did I get here? Seriously, what's the lore? Does the kiln teleport you here specifically? Well, whatever the answer is, all I know is I must kill. The Foreskin Duo. I'll be straight with you. I don't think I can do this. Separately, they're tough, but manageable. Together, I barely have enough time to think. And then this shit happens. And that's not even the worst of it. Sometimes he just keeps rolling around in tight circles, knocking you around like a pinball until you die. Although I guess he's more of the pinball, but you get that. It pisses me off. I need to turn to Vermina, Daedric Prince of Dreams and Nightmares. In Limgrave is Fervor's Cookbook 1. This unlocks the ability to craft sleep pots with mushrooms and Trina's lilies. They're incredibly effective against the duo. The trouble is that Trina's lilies are basically a finite resource. Yes, they're farmable in the consecrated field lands, but getting there is a whole ordeal. So, in effect, they're finite. Ideally, we can do this without needing more than what's most easily gathered. I actually never fought them with this strat before, so I have no idea how it'll work out. Normally, I'd use a spirit summon. My thought is, if there's two of you, then it's fair for there to be two of me. But neither Nerevar nor the Nerevarine could duplicate himself, so that's a wash. Alright, that's not how you do it. Let's take another break. Yeah. See, it's easier when there's just one of them. Another shard bearer, a giant snake. It's a gimmick fight. You're supposed to use the Serpent Hunter spear that you get in this room since it has a cool wind blast effect when you're fighting this boss. A Chimera warrior worth his salt would have significant mastery over spears. Nerevar probably used spears sometimes. That's the excuse I'm using. A godlike entity wants to rule the world by merging all life into one mass of interconnected flesh. Alright, maybe that one's a stretch. There. I did a bit of rune grinding at the Albinaurics near the Palace Approach Site of Grace. A few levels probably won't make or break the fight with the duo, but hey, who knows. So there's a decent collection of Trina's lilies in the swamps near the Albinauric village in Liurnia. About 10 in this area. And this time around, I'm not going to be super conservative with them. I'm going to put both of them to sleep, even if it takes 2 pots. And I'm going to put them back to sleep if they try to get any ideas. Wild strikes with blood flame should stack the bleed really fast. And I'll leave the apostle at low health so I can take him out as soon as he starts summoning the noble. Another sleep pot for the newly summoned noble, and we'll wild strike him down the same way. What's happening? Dude, move! Let me... Okay. This time, spam attack his dying corpse because that stacks more damage on their shared health bar. Now bring the apostle to near death, Kill him and spam attack his corpse. Another sleep pot for the big guy. Blood Flame. Wild Strikes. And... yes, finally. Smooth sailing from here on out, right? The Beast Clergyman. I seeketh Destined Death. A trifling creature of faith such as yourself ought to just hand over the thing, lest you find yourself. I can't even get him to phase 2.
Become my blade once more.
All my medallions did was activate elevators. This is too much. I must commune with my god, with the Lady of Dawn and Dusk, with Azura. I can only hope she remains where we last spoke. Lady Azura, I beseech thee. Lady Azura! What is this? What a magnificent weapon! A blessing from Lady Azura herself. Rennala, Lady Azura has given me a sign, given me permission. I may relinquish my faith, if only temporarily, so that I may wield this dusk-kissed blade. Purge my essence, bear me anew. Bless me with mental acuity that I may strike down the beast clergyman with this frozen moonlight. Hugh, this is a sword that befits a king, nay, a god. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm needed elsewhere. So I found the Beast Clergyman has one really effective opening. When he twists to his right, if you jump to the left, your left, as he swings to attack you, you'll dodge the attack and can counter with a jumping attack. There are certainly other punishable openings, but this was the best I could exploit. Then there's Malekith. His biggest opening is the overhead strike that follows his side slash. There's no follow-up explosion or swirly death blades. That said, the Frostblade attack from the Greatsword definitely helped. Thanks, Azura. Well, it's called Destined Death. I should probably touch it. Uh-oh. You forget to vacuum one time. Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing. It'd be pretty embarrassing if I said I died to him several times in a row, so I won't say it. First try. This next boss is one of my favorites. It epitomizes everything I love about combat in Elden Ring, and I'm not being sarcastic. What I love about this fight is how awesome it makes you feel by dodging his attacks, especially the ground slams. Godrick has a bit of that, but Godfrey's secondary weapon is basically his feet, so he does more stompies than Godrick did. I'm not exactly sure what it is about Godfrey specifically, but every death feels obvious. Some other bosses you die and you have no idea why, it just feels like bullshit. It all happens so fast that you can't really reflect on it, and you're just like, I'm mad now. With Godfrey, it feels like I'm learning more with each try. It took a bit over a dozen attempts to get him down, but the killing blow exemplifies why this fight is so great. One boss left. Can the Nerevarine become Elden Lord? Perhaps Lady Azura did not intend for me to take her gift this far. Perhaps it was a temporary boon. Perhaps she wishes that I finish this the way I started, with True Flame. I couldn't see anything. It was just a mess of yellow light. You know, it wouldn't be so bad if I didn't have to spend 20 seconds running from the Grace and standing idly in front of the glowing wall while the game loads a cutscene every single friggin' time I die. This boss would be really cool if it weren't for that. Jesus Christ, can we not have the unavoidable light ball obstruct the entire... You know, screw it. I'm siding with Dagon. Satan Sword. Let's do it. The Ebony Warrior's coming for ya, Elden Beast. The Crimson Whirl Bubble Tier. It converts damage into healing for 15 seconds after being consumed. This may be exactly what I need to survive the Elden Stars attack. I've suffered long enough, Radagon. I know your every move. I know when the hammer rises. I know where the hammer will fall. Though profane and blasphemous, Azura still guides this blade. Man. I should summon Ranni, Azura, to put a nice little capstone on this whole ordeal, but I never actually beat the game the normal way, and that's the last achievement I need to have all the achievements, so here's your head back, Marika. What a weirdly dainty way to sit.